بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So we mentioned last week this fundamental concept between narrating fiqh versus studying fiqh. And we mentioned this contrast, even the language used here, where Imam الترمذي mentions how he received this knowledge of ilal. He says, وَأَكْثَرُ ذَلِكَ مَا نَاظَرْتُ بِهِ مُحَمَّدَ بْنَ إسماعيل. There's munadhara, there's debate, there's discussion, right? As opposed to narration, right? And so this is how knowledge is transferred as opposed to mere narration. Um, and so Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, he says, اعلم. So there's no Hamza here, right? So I should say اعلم. أن أبا عيسى رحمه الله ذكر في هذا الكتاب مذاهب كثيرة. مذاهب كثير مذاهب كثير من فقهاء أهل الحديث المشهورين. So, so this phrase أهل الحديث, like what does that actually mean here? Right? Because you say أهل الحديث, like Imam Malik is also from أهل الرأي. And this phrase أهل الرأي and أهل الحديث is not really a very good distinction. So Ibn Khaldun mentions this discussion, right? أهل الحديث and أهل الرأي. It's not really. Abu Sulaiman, I believe, uses that phrase as well. He uses أهل الرأي for Hanifis, but it's not very accurate. It's not a very accurate term. So sometimes the Shafis will say Ahl Hadith, and it's not really clear exactly who they mean. So it's not a very accurate term, right? When you say Fuqaha Ahl Hadith, as if it's not a clear distinction of what they are, what they aren't. Allahu A'lam. So it says كسفيان وابن المبارك ومالك والشافعي وأحمد وإسحاق، وذكر فيه كثيرا من العلل والتواريخ والتراجم، ولم يذكر أسانيد أكثر ذلك، فذكر ها هنا أسانيده جملة، وإن كان لم يحصل بها الوقوف على حقيقة أسانيد ذلك، حيث ذكر أن بعضه عن فلان وبعضه من فلان ولم يبين ذلك البعض ولم يميزه, right? So this is a bit like the seerah. If you look at the seerah, like you will see, well, they'll sometimes they will merge sources, so Ibn Ishaq or Ibn Hisham or others, or even earlier scholars than that, Zuhri, I believe, as well, will do this, where he'll mention an event and he'll mention three sources for it, but you don't know which facts in this whole thing is from so and so, which is from so and so, if that makes sense. So it's just loose sources, right? وقد ذكر أنه بين ذلك على وجهه في كتابه الذي فيه الموقوف. وذكر أنه بين ذلك على وجهه, so he explained it as actually is, في كتاب الذي فيه الموقوف. I'm not sure what that is. وكأنه رحمه الله له كتاب مصنف أكبر من هذا فيه الأحاديث المرفوعة والآثار الموقوفة مذكورة كلها بالأسانيد, right? So it seems like it's a proper مصنف, like مصنف Ibn Abi Shayba or something like that, really big. هذا الكتاب وضعه للأحاديث المرفوعة وإنما يذكر فيه قليلا من الموقوفات. Does that make sense? So he's going to mention basically it's like a bigger book, right? And it's worth noting that when you say writing a book, right? Like to my left right now, I have a book, right? Which is just some notes. Like I mentioned, here's a quote and here's a reference. So if somebody is going to write a book that's organized, like Jami' al-Tirmidhi, which is organized, presumably Tirmidhi has a book, quote unquote, meaning he has notes, right? He's not walking around just in his head, right? So when somebody writes a book, they have all these other books or notes or collections that they're getting it from, right? So was that so now how famous was that? And did he sit and do imla of it, like he dictated it or not? Right. So I think with Tirmidhi, um, I'm not sure how many chains we have for Tirmidhi. Um, never really researched that. So right, Ruwat. So in order for a book to reach us, it has to be popular, right? Ruwat Jami' Tirmidhi, right? Otherwise, the book doesn't become a book. But the idea that a person doesn't have a book, meaning he doesn't have anything written anywhere, in at least in an unorganized way, that's kind of fairly ridiculous, right? Um, okay. Um, has anybody used that Amin app from Yaqeen Institute? Interesting questions in chat, like it's some kind of like a Muslim chat GPT. Um, and so it's interesting to ask questions like who are the narrators? Like some things it has no clue about. It just doesn't have that information. Uh, have a look at it. It's just interesting. Sometimes it will, like I asked it some questions yesterday. It was pretty, some of it was pretty good. Okay. So I know with like Abu Dawood is the famous narrations. I don't know who he. I'm just looking at the students of. Here we go. Right. So here we have one, which is وأبو سعيد الهيثم ابن كليب الشاشي صاحب مسند الكبير doesn't exist وراوي الشمائل عنه. So you have this one here. That's the narrator of the Shama'il. That is it. It's a bit odd. Okay. This is I don't know who this person is. طلاب صعب. Um, give it to me. Okay, I'm not seeing here where the narrators are. Just mentioning different manuscripts. Just give me 1 second. Now we're looking at the manuscript of Tirmidhi. Hello? Al-Karuchi. I think the chain keeps going here. Let's see, this is the next page. Okay. This is all illegible here. This is the beginning of the book, Al-Juz al-Awwal. Tell you what I'm going to do.